Envious women, women who envy you, will often start out as your friends. An envious and or jealous woman will often start out as a woman who absolutely adores and admires you. But a woman, when she grows in envy towards another woman, she over time cannot stand to see that woman leveling up in some way. Your boat of confidence, the way you move, the way you succeed in life, when she starts to develop envy towards you, she will suddenly become very threatened by the things that you do, the things that you say, and how you move through life. A woman who develops envy over time, that's normally the type of woman that can only tolerate you to a certain point or at a certain level. When people can only tolerate you at levels that make them feel comfortable and you supersede where they are, that's when envy and jealousy can begin to grow. Some people like to see you eat, but not as much as them. Some people want to see you healthy, but not as healthy as them. Some people want to see you thriving and growing, just not as much as them. And when you get to a level that they perceive you as being better than them, they will grow envy and or jealous of you. That kind of person is a person you have to watch out for, and there are normally signs when a person is growing envious of your life, when they're no longer your friend or your supporter, but now your competitor. There are normally signs when somebody is heading into envious territory. The number one sign you will see when somebody is heading into envious territory, they can no longer clap for you. They're not as excited or as enthused about the things you tell them as they once were. And that can be because now you're reaching into a level where they themselves have not reached and they are not comfortable with. You are now representing something or someone that they feel like they can never attain or achieve. When a person grows envious of you, they will see your success as a threat, and they will see you superseding them and going in a rate that they themselves feel like they can't keep up with you. When a person begins to believe that they cannot keep up with you, they are now competing with you. So when a person sees that you are actually growing at a rate that is uncomfortable for them, that's when they can begin to display envy towards you. That's when they can start speaking to you in a way where it's almost like they're competing with you, or they're trying to slow you down in some way. They're trying to get you to feel like you're out of place for trying something new because it's not comfortable for them. When a person begins to be envious of you, they feel very uncomfortable in your presence, number two. If you try to expose them to different things or different topics or different opportunities, they will no longer look at that as in something to be energized about, something to be excited about. They won't look at it as if you are a friend putting them onto something that's going to help them. Suddenly they start feeling like you're putting them down, which is the second sign of someone being envious of you or growing envious of you over time. They suddenly look at you as someone who is constantly judging them and putting them down. At one point, they were able to receive advice from you. At one point, they were able to, take the information that you give them, take the criticism. They felt like you were both on a level playing field. But suddenly, when they grow envious of you, now they cannot receive from you. Now they cannot take any information from you because they're looking at you as someone who sees themselves as better because now they're insecure in your presence. When a person who was once your friend suddenly does not feel comfortable taking advice from you, they don't feel comfortable getting help from you, that is the second sign that they are growing envious of your life. They are starting to get into that who does she think she is territory. And you will see this once again with people who feel like now you're surpassing them and you're doing too much. I need you to slow down so that I continue to feel comfortable with you. So that's the second sign that someone is feeling like they're becoming envious of you. They are starting to feel judged by you. They can no longer receive information. They don't see it as something to help them. They see it as now you're shining a light on their shortcomings. Another way you can notice a person is suddenly becoming envious of your life they suddenly start talking to people or being around people who they know do not like you, people they know who do not support you. Suddenly, they will get into a recruitment spree of being around people who don't necessarily care for you. This can hurt when that happens, especially when it happens with a friend, someone you thought was your biggest supporter, someone you thought would always be there for you, your ride or die. Y'all are going to, level up together. Y'all are going to grow together and do different things. When a person grows envious of your life, they will suddenly see you once again as if you are now trying to be something better than what they are. And what they will do, they will get around other people, normally people who already have some kind of issue with you, normally people who already don't like you for some reason or feel, some kind of way towards you. Now they will begin to gravitate towards those people and be on their side, and now it's you against them. When people cannot get to a point where they feel like you are, they have to reach in the bottom of the barrel to be around people who are comfortable and content bringing other people down. And unfortunately, this can even happen with some people that you once called your friend. This can happen with some people who now look at you as their enemy simply because you are doing better than them, or they perceive you as doing better than them in some capacity. Do not be surprised at the recruiting spree that happens with jealous, envious people. They like to gather other people around them to make them feel good about their insecurities, thus making them more comfortable going against you. That's why you see scenarios of women who were once, business partners. They talked about starting a business together. They were going to school together. They were doing different things. But all it took is for that one woman to do something outside of the box, where she did something in a different way, where she got around people who elevated her a little bit too much, where she got a little bit too much knowledge, a little bit too much education, a little bit too much notoriety. Look, a little bit too much spirituality, where you actually begin to grow so much spiritually, where now you're standing strong mentally on things that used to break you down. And now the person you think is closest to you, they can't handle it simply because they're not growing at the same rate as you. And really, that is what envy kind of all boils down to, especially when it comes to envy of a friend being jealous of someone they were once close to, someone who was your friend, and now they envy your life. When they see you growing at a rate that they themselves cannot keep up with, or they're trying to keep up with you, they just will not be able to understand how you are stepping outside of the box so rapidly. And they will not be interested in getting instruction from you, because now they don't see you as their equal. They don't see you as their peer. They see you as somebody that's sitting on the top looking down at them. And you might not feel that way. But when people get threatened by somebody's sudden success, or outside of the box thinking, or trying to do something different or better themselves, and they are not moving fast enough, or they don't have that same kind of mindset, maybe they thought you were just talking to talk. And I see that a lot with different people, especially friendships, family relationships. People will sit around and make all kinds of plans in the world. They will sit around and plan to do business. They will plan to take trips. They will plan to get together more often. They will plan to level up, move out of state, get together, get each other's money together and go on vacation. But normally there is only one person who is serious at their word, who only the one person who really meant what they said. And when you happen to be that person that actually stands on business, that actually wants to do the things that your mouth said you want to do, and you're a woman of action, you like to actually do things and grow and work on your personal development, a person who just talks just to be talking, a person who is not a follow through kind of person, like they just like to shoot the breeze and just talk to be talking, but their words have no meaning. When you suddenly become the kind of woman where your words now have meaning, where when you say you want to do something, you say you want to accomplish something, you say you want to actually achieve something, you actually set out to do it. When you say you want better for your life, you actually take steps to do that. When you are a woman of action, and this is the point that I'm making, When you suddenly become a woman of action, you cannot be surprised at how many people will suddenly be repelled by you. It can be old friends, it can be acquaintances, it can be people who has known you for your entire life. But if you start getting too serious about your level up, if you start getting too serious about becoming a better woman, you will repel those people who are procrastinators, those people who don't follow through with the things they say they're going to do. And especially when it comes to men, you will suddenly notice that if you're a woman, if you're a single woman, you will attract men who are actually follow through kind of guys, and you will weed out the dusty procrastinators who just talk and give you sweet utterances, but don't do anything. There's something about becoming a woman who actually is a woman of action that causes envy and jealousy in other people, because a lot of times when people envy the lives of other people, it's simply because they're too lazy to do the things that the person they're envious of have done, or they're too lazy to act in faith, or they're too scared to try different things. So they envy your life. So you have to be on the lookout for that. When you become the kind of woman who actually says things and means what she says, you are going to attract envious people, especially when at one point you might not have been that kind of woman. You might have been a woman that just sit around and have all these talks and, you said a bunch of great things, but never did anything. But then when you get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm tired of talking. I actually want to do this stuff. I actually want to move to this place. I actually want to have a better life. When you get to that point, people who were used to you just talking to talk, they will begin to envy the way you move in life. They will resent the fact that now you're actually putting feet to your faith, that you're actually putting action behind your words. And it's simply because they are not women of action. They are not people who like to actually do things. They like to talk about doing things. That's why you will notice as you level up, you will develop a very low tolerance for people who are not people of action, people who do not like to do the things that they say they're going to do. And it's not that you're trying to achieve world peace, you're trying to dominate and take over things. It can be the very simple things such as taking care of your health, taking care of your well-being, eating better, exercising, little things like that, especially with women. When you start setting out to focus on your looks and the way that you present in the world, and you're not just talking, like you actually start from day one eating healthier, there will be women who are envious of how you actually got serious about your health. They will dislike you simply because you're now pushing away those things that are not really good for you, or you're eating in moderation, but you're actually taking the steps to get well or to be healthy. See, envious people, they are normally procrastinators and people who don't like people who like to stand on their word. So don't be afraid or don't be surprised if you start gaining enemies simply because you're a woman of your word and you expect people who interact with you to also be people of their word. You no longer have time to just sit around talking about what you want to do. You're actually doing it. And when you develop that kind of mindset, you will have people who grow envious and or jealous of you. So people who were once your friends, if suddenly you notice a shift in their attitude and the way they act around you, it can be simply because now you're no longer that girl just sitting around wasting time talking about your plans. You're actually living out your plans. You're actually doing things that represent the kind of woman and the kind of life you want to live. And if you notice a sudden shift and sudden friends that used to be your friends, but now they no longer like you like that, or they don't want to be around you, don't be surprised that they're feeling a little bit inferior to you. And it's not that you want them to feel that way, but they are showing that they feel that way by the fact that they can no longer receive from you. They won't even take any kind of criticism. they won't even take any advice because they now see you as up here and them down here. They suddenly feel like you are superseding them in some way, and that's not your fault. You know, that's like a person who's not ready to receive truth. You know, truth can always sound like a lie to a person who is not ready to receive it. And when somebody's not ready to change, when somebody's not ready to do better for themselves, anything you say to them will be looked at as a criticism. Anything you say to them will be looked at as a judgment. And thus, they may not like you, and they may envy how you move and resent the fact that you actually had the, you know, the gumption or the resilience or the guts, as they say, to actually do the things you set out to do and make the changes that you said you were going to make for your life. So if they were once on your team and they're no longer on your team, it's simply because they're not ready to make the same moves that you are, which is perfectly fine. And they should still be able to be your friend regardless. But there are some people, if they can't hold you back, if they can't allow you, or if you're not going at the same rate that they're going, they just dismiss you altogether. They just don't like you altogether. They just don't want to be bothered altogether. And they'll recruit their minions to also try to come against you and distract you simply because they're now threatened by how you live and how you move and how you operate in life. Envy is something that is very serious, and it's often subtle, and people typically grow envy. They don't automatically start envious of somebody. Jealousy, yes, they can automatically be jealous, but envy is often something that festers over time, especially with women. They will suddenly be your biggest supporter, and then all of a sudden, they will drift off into being your enemy because they're now threatened by how you're moving, or maybe how much popularity or notoriety or just your growth. They can be threatened by that. So when somebody's threatened by how you move and how you evolved as a woman, that is an envious person, and you have to protect yourself and notice the warning signs as I mentioned earlier. All right? Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.